if I understand right, that you help Ukraine and Ukrainian army and our people because you believe that we can win.
Oh, yeah, I know you can win. I know you can. It's just not believe. I know. We participated in several occasions in crucial events, such as the Battle of Donetsk Airport. We were in Baltsevo, and we were also in other places. Later on, we were in Avdiivka, where we were able to provide accurate and relevant support to the armed forces. In Sweden, I can say this, that over the first phase up till the open Russian aggression, Swedes had a limited interest in what was going on. People knew about it, of course, but it wasn't something that really bothered Swedish society that much. And I must say, honestly, even on the governmental level, it seems to me that Sweden was not slightly worried, yes, but that they didn't really take these things seriously. That has changed a little. First of all, of course, mention the fact that Sweden and Finland have asked to join NATO, which is a significant change in the security environment in the region. From society in general, we can feel that a surge in interest, and we have, for instance, more sponsors now than we used to have from Sweden, and we are trying now slowly to increase this awareness in Sweden among the public, because I feel that eventually even the Swedes have understood that this is something you have to deal with. You have to do something about it.
8 years you dedicated your life, your time, your resources to Ukraine. Why you do this, and how you can explain it for Swedes who are aware now and want to
now? Again, we must first of all take into consideration the fact that I'm not living in Sweden. I'm living in the Baltics, which of course is a very different situation than in Scandinavia and Sweden. Maybe Finland an exception, but again, the situation in Ukraine for people living here is outright dangerous. It may, worst case scenario, these things may spread to here, and we all see what Russia is capable of doing. Seeing how Russia has evolved into this monster that we're seeing today, totalitarian monster, it's really hard to describe it in any other way. You have to finish the monster. You have to kill the dragon, basically. And if the Ukrainians are up to the task, of course, they're going to help them. That's goes without saying. I think we all understand we cannot live on in Europe. It's Ukraine and it doesn't really matter. We can live on with this crazy beast, as a neighbor. I mean, they will just, okay, Ukraine, but they will come up with something else. They cannot stop. They will just figure out other means to create further terror, fear, intimidation. So we have to kill the dragon. I hate totalitarianism. I hate it. I cannot. but I definitely cherish and admire anybody standing up against it. And Ukraine did at that point.
I see now in Sweden a lot of announcements that Swedish state authorities are trying to prepare people to the wars.
Yes.
Could you motivate Swedes to stop Putin in Ukraine?
Europe, more generally, not only Sweden, over the last decades has turned itself into, so to speak, territory of peace where war is not an option, that you have to solve problems with other means, diplomacy, etc., etc. So the thought of war in Europe is very far away still. Nobody's shooting at Europe. I mean, European Union, etc. And I think it's very hard for both governments and societies to come to terms to understand the concept of the possibility that we might have to fight a war. To me, it's a little panic. It's a little, random, and it's sometimes very emotional. And I don't think that is the proper way to react as a state to these things. I think that I'm a very romantic and sometimes very emotional person. So it's not about that. I see these videos from Kherson and I cry basically because it's so moving. But on a state level, you have to think about these things in different ways. Any efforts provided to Ukraine, would it be military or other humanitarian, is much cheaper than anything you would have to do if you would be forced to do it at home. And Swedes have a problem. They live in a very happy place, and that is of course very nice. But you cannot forget about the shadows. And I think that's what has happened in Sweden. I can give you one example of a very Swedish that over time I have started to cherish more than I did before. It's Astrid Lindgren, the children's book writer, and her stories about all these characters, Emil and etc. and Ronnie, and they're great to read, and there are lots of humor in this, but always there's a dark side. There's always a shadow of some kind. Sometimes that you have to stand up, you have to face challenges, you have to take risks, you have to be brave. It's always books. So I think her being very formed by her experience from the Second World War, and where you can see her writing, she was very concerned about what was happening. As a Swede, which is in my case also, I was raised, I grew up. I can make a difference. It's not like, you're nobody and you can't do anything. That is not true. And a Swede knows that deep down. You have been formed and raised in that way. So that's a positive thing. I can give you one very positive example. We have, as you know, I think there are Swedish officers leaving the army to go to Ukraine to help the fight.
Why it's important to support Swedish or Europeans, guys who want to fight with Ukrainian army? Why it's important, and maybe how do you think is it useful, such support, or maybe it's better to be volunteer?
It's necessary, it's crucial, and it's very useful, very useful. First of all, we have to understand, and this is a very important thing to understand, we are at war with Russia. Okay, it may be in Ukraine, there may be no Russian tanks or troops or whatever in Sweden or somewhere. We are at war. Russia is challenging everything we stand for territorial integrity, democracy, freedom of speech, everything that our civilization stands on, everything, every single thing. And if we don't deal with that, if we let it pass, let it go somehow, again, in Ukraine or also in other ways, we will have serious problems in the future. What will happen when somebody else, China or some other forces, come and tells us how things are supposed to be and gives us some ultimatums, and what happens then? So we have to change it. We have to take the fight. We have no choice. Anybody from Europe or somebody else who goes to Ukraine to help the Ukrainians to fight, to support them, is a source not only of direct support, but also of a better understanding of what is going on, what Russia is up to, who's the enemy, how can you fight that kind of enemy in this war or maybe in another war. And also to establish and to demonstrate solidarity, just to demonstrate that basically we are there. I am planning. I was in European Union Parliament a couple of days ago, and we received the European Union Awards, Citizenship Award, and I told them provocatively a little that next time I go to Ukraine, I will to the front line. I will bring a European Union flag, and I will show it together with the support that we are, because we are a part of European Union. I have as a citizen, I have the moral right to do that, and I think it's also starting to get politically suitable to do that. We have to show that we are there.
If I understand right, that you help Ukraine and Ukrainian army and our people because you believe that we can win.
Oh yeah, I know you can win. I know you can. It's just not believe. I know. That way, I can tell you when that became clear to me, really clear. That was after the Battle of Avdiivka, when I saw how the Ukrainian armed forces, to me, at the first time, they were able to systematically, in a comprehensive manner, to actually withstand the Russian fierce aggression at that point. And they stood their ground. They didn't retreat. So back in 2016, and after that, I know that Ukraine can win this. I have no doubt. So much more, of course, with the support of the West and NATO and whatnot. But that said, I mean, we should not rest our case. We have to keep doing what we're doing. And of course, we also have to think about the results, the effects in the future. Yes, now, of course, we have to defeat Russian military. Yes, of course. But that's not the whole story. And we have to think about what Russia, after a defeat, what will they do? What will they think? Where will they go? Will they keep, this thought of revenge, for instance, etc., etc. You cannot keep Russia as an eternal enemy, and that is, we have to for various purposes. So you have to be able to think in many dimensions. So at this point, right now, it's Slava Ukraini. It's just Slava Nazi. And I'm just happy to hear when they have been able to take territories back and to eliminate Russian troops. But I also try to think in a broader, in a deeper perception. Ukraine needs some kind of friendly or at least neighborly relationship with Russia for being able to, for sustainable development, etc., etc. That is a very challenging task. We have a rather good example. It's Germany with the horrible Nazi regime, which was in some ways even worse than the Russian regime, and we were able to turn that into something positive. Honestly, Russia is a nation of sheep. They're cowards. They have no understanding of how to oppose their own regime, providing these obviously very harmful decisions, even to Russia. And what there's had the mobilization, it's harmful even to Russia itself. And the attitudes, when you see that 70% something, it seems, approve in some way of the war and so I don't have big hopes, but I need to keep the hope there. We must understand that for states like Lithuania, like the Baltics, like Poland, a stable, secure, prosperous, friendly Ukraine is a bigger security guarantee than even NATO.